Hello and welcome to Sharon, Massachusetts. Welcome to Sharon Local History. This is a beautiful view from the bluffs if you are familiar with the area. However, in this video I would like to point out some evidence of Native Americans living in Sharon in the past. So, first of all, Massachusetts, the name of our state, came from the Algonquin language, where adjectives are combined with nouns into one word. The name can be broken down into massa, which means large, wachu, which means hill, and esset, meaning place. In the pronunciation of the place of the great hill, one syllable is lost. Many people believe this interpretation refers to the Great Blue Hill in Canton. Certainly, the Blue Hills are on every map of early New England, beginning with that of John Smith, who called them the Cheviot Hills. Another translation breaks down the word as moss, arrow, and Wachusett, which means high place. The reference is believed to be an arrow-shaped hill close to Squantum on the Neponset River, a place where the sachem of the Massachusetts Native Americans had his home when the English arrived. So this is Blue Hills from Trustees, so close to, basically from Moose Hill. Another picture because I love that place so much. So I would like to give you some more information about different places that are called after or have some reference to Native Americans. Another place that has got evidence of Native Americans living or staying or visiting Sharon is definitely King Phillip's Rock and King Phillip's Cave. So this is the place where Native Americans may have met to strategize during King Philip's War, 1675 to 1676. This major conflict between colonists and a number of native tribes started in Rhode Island and southern Massachusetts and ended with the death of Wampanoag leader Metacom, also known as King Philip. He was son of Massasoit. For both colonists and Native Americans, the war was the single greatest disaster of 17th century New England in proportion to population. So this place is fantastic to hike. I highly recommend it. You can either park on Mansfield Street or on King Philip's Road on the little cul-de-sac. It's not a long walk. It's maybe, 3,000 feet. But it's a beautiful hike through the woods, and I appreciate the fact that the town of Sharon is preserving this area. There are some questions about the evidence of Native Americans. However, we like to believe that yes, this is where King Philip and his men met and strategized. By the way, when we talk about King Philip, it's important to mention that there used to be an old tavern, Billings Tavern, on the southern part of Sharon, and because Ebenezer Billings was friendly with Native Americans in this area, they did spare his place when they were going towards Medfield and burned down the whole town of Medfield. Alright, so this is another view from King's Philip Rock. The cave is larger and much cooler to climb through. Just be careful, don't slip, and enjoy the nature and respect it. And please do think about people that walked this land over 400, 500, 600 years ago. Many of you may be familiar with this beauty. It's a huge boulder that's off Brook Road, and it is part of Masapoag Trail. It is called the Devil's Rock. So that gives us an idea that it is connected to Native Americans because the people, the white religious people that lived here, they basically called Native Americans devils because they were scared of them, because they had darker complexion and they didn't follow their religion at some point. The other idea is that there is a scratch where two different minerals meet, and you can find it on the larger boulder, so you kind of see a little vein, and apparently that was scratched by the devil. So good luck finding it. I showed it to you on the beginning of this video. So that's another evidence. It's a great place to hike, and again, think about the people that owned this land before us. And lying in the plain between Moose Hill and Rattlesnake Hill is a large body of water that we call Lake Masapoag. We call it our pride and jewel, by the way, as well. So long before the white men came here, it was known to the Ponkapoags, who gave it its name. The word means a large body of water or a large swamp. Because of its glacier origin, it was formed during the time when the glaciers of the Ice Age were receding to the north, scraping out great holes. At its deepest point in the center, where the glacier ice remained longest, the depth of about 45 feet. Lake Masapoag covers an area of about 400 acres and is 300 feet above sea level. The old maps do not agree on the size of the lake, probably because of the various methods used in the earlier days in arriving at the acreage. Because of its high elevation, it is relatively free of fog. It lies in the depression of the Neponset Valley, is mostly spring-fed with groundwater from the cedar swamps contributing to its size. So next time you're at the lake, imagine Native Americans using their dugout canoes and fishing with the Native Americans' methods of fishing. More about that in the future. Another place that gives us evidence of Native Americans, in this case arrowheads, is the property of former school of the Brothers of Sacred Heart. When they were digging out their skating pond, yes, the boys had to dig it out by hand, kids. They actually did find a number of arrowheads. These were donated to the library and they are in ownership of Sharon Historical Society now. Gunhouse Street is basically on the edge of the Deborah Sampson Park, and that's where people found more arrowheads in the past. It is quite obvious place, to be honest with you, because it's very close to the lake, which is right on the end of Cedar Street, as you can see now. More evidence of Native Americans in the form of arrowheads was found alongside East Street, and there was actually a larger collection of arrowheads scattered around the property of Fish and Game Club. There is a little pond, and that's where more arrowheads were found. They are They were donated to the library over 100 years ago, and now they are in ownership of Sharon Historical Society. The interesting part to me is that there is a Devil's Brook close by, and I wonder if there was presence of Native Americans. And you may be familiar with the street called Musquanicat, which means Great White Trail. It may refer to the beech trees that grew there. On the 1696 map, there is a portion of land east of Moose Hill and north of Masapoag Pond, which was sold to Matthew Hobbs. That's the area where the train station is now. The brook running through it has been called Hobbs Brook and now is called Beaver's Brook. A note on the old map states, within these lines is a meadow called Musquanicat Meadow, not belonging to yet Lot Salt. And here are two photos of Musquanicat about 100 years apart. This is the area past the bridge, which is not there, but you know what I'm talking about. Another word you may be familiar with is Wolomolopag. It means deep, pleasant water. But the problem arises because the Algonquin language has no I in it. The word, however, is very similar to Wolomonopag, the Indian name for the town of Wrentham. The translation of that name is given as place of shells, perhaps a reference to freshwater mollusks in Lake Pearl or Lake Archer. The Wolomolopag Pond in Sharon appears without a name in the correct place on 1696. However, we know that at one point it was called Billings Pond, most likely after Ebenezer Billings, who had his tavern close by. And we also have a street called Wolomolopag, which goes from one side of town to the other. One other place with a Native American name is Mohawks Hill. It was shown on the map originally laid out in 1713 and completed 1730. We still have evidence. We have a street called Mohawk. There are also records of the Metakeset Native Americans living about a quarter mile of Moore Street near the old Moore's homestead. These Native Americans eventually moved to Duxbury. There is a tradition of Native Americans having lived on what is now called Highland Street. Many of you may be familiar with Rockridge Cemetery. However, I would like to bring up a fact that's not known to many. So on the far right wall, kind of right of the caretaker's shed, there is a place that's called Potter's Field or also Pauper's Field. And that's where there is interesting arrangement of flat stones. There are about 20 of them. For many years, people wondered what they mean, why are they there. Some people thought it's a path that goes to Deborah Sampson's grave. However, it didn't really make sense. And an investigation in conjunction with mapping of the cemetery lots in 1951 disclosed this row of 20 flat stones. It was revealed that those markers are for graves of destitute people of the town who died during colonial days. Many of the cemetery records were unfortunately destroyed, and considerable research was necessary to establish that this small area had originally been set aside as Potter's Field in the old cemetery. The survey revealed that the area includes the bodies of 3 Native Americans, original natives of the town, but the identities of the remaining 17 bodies are not recorded in any town or cemetery documents. So this is the end of the video, and as you can see, even though we have plenty of evidence of Native Americans living in the area and in town of Sharon, you will not find any evidence in our town meeting records, either as a group or as individuals identified as Indians, Native Americans. There probably is nothing strange in this because the records date from 1765, which was 100 years after Punkapoag plantation was provided for the Neponset Indians. It is also true that the Native Americans took English names and therefore would lose their identification. It is interesting to note, however, that the census ordered by Congress in 1776, there is a column listing number in quotes, number of Negroes and mulattoes in each family. This document, the original of which is at the town hall, shows a total of 1,271 in quote, souls in Stoughtonham. 11 were listed as black persons. There is no mention of Native Americans. You will find descendants of Native Americans in the area. However, the culture they represent sadly changed quite a lot. The way of living of Native Americans in the area is very different than it used to be 400 or 500 years ago. However, I'm very proud to have opportunity to learn a lot about Native Americans in the area and their way of living in the past and now. I hope this video helped to educate you a little bit and open your eyes and maybe be more eager to learn about Native Americans in America today. I do appreciate that you watched this video, and I would like you to remember those first families of the Americas today, and I would like you to remember their legacy and respect their descendants. And on the end, I would like to thank you for watching Sharon Local History.